As we start our Finding Your Fit, we're going to dial into our table and look at the Tabletop or War Gamer. Let's jump into it. Now, what I call the Tabletop or War Gamer, I look at aspects of role-playing that focus more on dice and action economy than story or role-playing. So this table is not complete. It has a lot of work to do. This is just a starting discussion for us to help find your fit, to see if you're a tabletop or war gamer, as I call it. And we'll dive in and look at the different axes that make up this table. As we look at the first axis, I call this role play, or ROLL play, or rolling play. This is all about the dice. So if you look at the far left, a roll should determine every interaction. So if you're the type of role player who prefers to not talk to any shopkeepers, not interact with your party, not act out your character's actions, you would rather just roll to see if you succeed or fail, you're going to be further to the left. Now, on the opposite end of that spectrum is going to be more and more items that you're going to personally interact. So you're going to pre-plan your character origins, your class and race for balance and mechanics, the opportunities, but allow story to shape progression. So if you're going to not think out to 20th level or long-term builds for your character, you want to interact with the story more, then you're going to be further to the right. Now so this axis I really look at as how do I as a player interact with my character? What do I think that I should do on behalf of my character as a player, and what should my character have to do for the environment? So how much of it is character and how much of it is player interaction with the story and the game and the gaming table? I hope that makes sense. Next axis we have is going to be about the mechanics. So if you're down to the bottom, mechanics are going to determine the success or failure of the story. Meaning if you're in a third-party group and you go and attempt to take on a red dragon who's an ancient red dragon, if you fail, that's the end of the story. That's the end of the adventure. That's the end of the game. Higher up, you're going to allow a little bit more creativity, and you're still going to have important encumbrance tracking, and mechanics are still important, but you're more interested in the story. You're not going to pit a third level character against an ancient red dragon. So looking at where we would mark ourselves on the table, if for instance I think a roll should determine any interaction based on any and all stats, so rather than talking to a shopkeeper or role-playing anything out, I just want to roll for it, I'm going to mark myself along this way, especially if I think the mechanics are the most important thing and they're going to determine success or failure. Whether I can talk my way through it as a player or not, it's going to be based on my character's stats, what I can do based on the stats. However, I do like a little bit more storytelling, so I don't have predetermined anything. I'm going to try to think of something creative and attempt to do something a little more creative than just do I succeed or fail. So rather than just a trap is sprung, I'm going to come up with something creative to see if I succeed or fail. So I'm going to have a little interaction. Now if I want to have a little bit more leeway in it and feasibility of interactions and outcomes be based on those, I'm going to put myself a little bit further left because the roles are more important, but I want the story to have a little bit of opportunity for me to play around in the mechanics of it. I want the story to be able to be more interactive. However, I don't want to interact with people in the story. I just want the story to be interactive with my character. Now, let's say as a player, I want to enact more with the gaming world. I'm going to go a little bit higher up on the upper right because I want more possibility to tie in myself acting as my character, however still keep mechanics. I'm still going to want to use roles and determine successes and failures, as well as keep track of vital statistical information. So I'm going to be a little bit further away from that left corner, but I'm still going to be a tabletop gamer because the mechanics are still more important to me. And then another example is if I'm going to be on the further left bottom, if the mechanics are going to determine the success or failure of the story, and I don't want to interact myself as my character with party members or anybody else. I just want to be there to see if I can utilize the best character possible to successfully navigate through an adventure. I'm going to be on the bottom left corner. So a rolling player who's focused mostly on mechanics. So in my chart, a tabletop or war gamer is going to want to utilize their character to interact with the game world. They don't want to interact as their character. They're not as interested in role-playing between other players and NPCs. They're very particular on the mechanics, which should determine the success or failure, how the story goes, and whether or not their successful or failure roles determine the success or failure of their character. They're going to be thinking a lot about the mechanics of characters prior to how that character kind of interacts with the story as a whole. Pre-planning character from level whatever you start them at. They're going to look at what's the most opportune builds, how can they make it mechanically sound to achieve more successes, and ultimately move through the game based on the hopefully successful roles that their character stats achieve. In my opinion, I also consider these type of people the choose your own adventure story lovers. They love being presented with multiple options, and then based on choices that they make based on the stat and open paths before them, they can succeed or fail. However, they don't want to spend a lot of time talking in funny voices. They don't want to interact with other people to learn about backstories of fictional characters. It's purely about mechanics and the roll of the dice. I hope this has helped entertain and educate you on this aspect of my chart, and we'll dive into the next one on our next video. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that bell so you get notifications whenever we post new videos. Help us answer the question of where will your adventures take you?